Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I am Fran. And today we have a guest, Heather Evans. Heather, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Welcome.
And yes, welcome. And would you talk a little bit about what it is that you do that helps to make the world a better place?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm delighted to be here. So, I am a hypnotherapist and I help women. I specialize in helping women and I support them in integrating and balancing their different energies so they can fully step into full empowerment.
Oh, that's very important.
It is.
What modalities do you use?
I use hypnosis and NLP, and I'm also a rapid transformational therapy practitioner. And I do believe that in the world today, there is a great need for women, especially, to rise up and step into their power. And right now, with the feminine movement that's been over the last few decades, a lot of women have shifted into their masculine energy in an effort to sort of create equality. But when a woman is in her masculine energy, she gets very competitive. And in that competitive environment, we lose a great part of our true power when we compete. And so the divine feminine energy is really a very collaborative energy. And when you collaborate and you draw people together, now there is a lot of strength in numbers. And together, we will all make the world a better place because not one of us can do it on our own. We have to connect with each other so that we can all rise together.
That's true. It takes a village, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Does. Yeah, not one of us is the savior of the world alone, but together we each have a little part that we can contribute. Because I believe that every one of us is here on purpose for a purpose. And when we really tune into our calling of why we're here and to fill the measure of our creation, now we can contribute the gifts that we have been endowed with by our Creator. And together it creates a perfect kind of hologram for us to create a more beautiful world.
Oh, that's lovely.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Where do you practice? Do you have a designated area? Do you do mostly online?
We have an office here in Marietta, and so I do see in-person clients, and I also do online, and I've worked with women all over the world.
It's great that you're helping so many people. We do. We lose touch in our day-to-day of who we really are and how we can best, I don't know, not only serve our calling, but be true to ourselves.
And it's a fine balance. And all too often, our personal life can be sacrificed for the greater good, or the greater good will be sacrificed for our personal life. But one of the divine feminine energies, the principles of that is to balance the needs of the whole and the community. Because if we keep filling into other people and we don't fill our own cup, then pretty soon we're overwhelmed and we have nothing to give and we're burnt out. And we can't serve anybody that way. So there is a delicate balance that women especially need to be mindful of.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely. I often say, and I feel a little sexist saying it, but when I'm with my female friends, I come away from that feeling nourished and empowered and supported and uplifted. When I'm with male friends, not always so much. It's usually more about them, giving to them and doing for them. And also with a lot of my female, well, my friends too, but my female clients, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say, the female body is set up in a way to sacrifice. Even if we don't have children, the body is created to give to that child growing within us. You know, your organs get moved aside. Some women get very ill while they're pregnant. Some women, you know, develop conditions, but we do that because we love that child so much, or those children so much. And unfortunately, a lot of women apply that same sort of principle to their entire lives. And it's important to become aware of that so that you can, you know, rein that in and make sure that there is a balance and you're taking care of yourself as well.
We don't
Absolutely.
always do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I said it's true. We tend to put everybody first. You know, we even as, you know, running a gym, my responsibility was the entire place. And I found that I have a family and, you know, children and the gym and everything and everything and everything, no matter what you have, all of your responsibilities, and then you're down at the bottom. So it's nice to learn a way to put yourself, you know, not always first, but definitely in the mix, and to be true to your essence, yourself, you know.
So feminine energy is a receiving energy, and masculine energy is a giving energy. And that's why when women are together, women actually need a community of women to nurture and nourish each other, because that is what we are designed to do. And in our culture, we're sorely lacking that kind of community where women can come together and share and nurture and nourish each other. So when a woman is in her feminine, she's definitely in that sort of giving and receiving mode, because it's what we naturally do. It's our element, and we can thrive in that kind of an environment. Masculine energy it's a giving energy, and it's always a very competitive energy, because men are designed to go out into the world and to compete. Women are designed to collaborate. That's why we need to come together. And when we do that, then we tune into our true power. And our true power is always in alignment with our truth of who we are. And when a woman starts to compete, then she kind of steps out of her true nature. And I'm not saying she's not capable of doing that, because we really are. We are very strong, we are resilient, and we can be ferocious when need to be, but we need to manage that kind of power with grace and benevolence. And so when we are with men, we tend to treat them like they're our girlfriends, and we want to nurture and nourish and pour into them. But that actually kind of undermines their true power, because they are designed to give. And a man's heart is wired to give to a woman. And when you can inspire and invoke that energy in him, then he can truly be in his masculine energy, which is not aggressive at all. It's a very protective and providing for energy. That's what he's designed to do. But when we're with him and we start to pour into them, we flip the balance of the masculine and the feminine.
Oh.
So if we're giving to them, then we are actually stepping into that masculine giving energy, and it flips them to their feminine receiving. And when they go into the feminine receiving, they get very lazy, and they're not inspired to step up and provide for you. And so we're seeing an epidemic of this going on everywhere. And it's just a sign of the times, because now women have to work in order to survive. 2 incomes are needed into a household. And when a woman goes out into the workforce, it's a very competitive environment. So she's naturally in her masculine energy, and it drains and it depletes her, because when we're in our masculine, we're building testosterone in our bodies. And that testosterone makes a woman feel stressed. Whereas a man, when he builds testosterone in his body, it actually gives him a sense of well-being. That is his purpose, to go out there and find solutions to compete into the world, and then to bring the spoils home to his family. So when a woman is in her masculine, she's getting stressed and irritated. But when a man is in his masculine, he's really stepping into the highest version of him. And I always say that only the highest version of a woman can evoke the highest version in her man. And so the woman needs to rise first because she really does have all the power. But it's in the way that you manage and use that power, whether you inspire a man to really step into the highest version of who he is.
And how would you suggest if you were talking to someone and they have this conflict, what's one of the main things that you would say that she would need to do in order to invoke it, his power, to provide and step up?
First thing she needs to do is really understand her own energy and her own body, and understand the cycles, that her hormonal cycles she goes through every month, because there is a time of the month when we build testosterone, a time of the month when we build more estrogen, and then a time of the month we build more progesterone. And even a woman in menopause will still continue to cycle in this way. And when you can understand your own cycles and where you're at, then you know how to harness that energy and stay in balance. Because staying in balance is the best thing a woman can do to support her man. But oftentimes throughout the hormonal cycle, when we build more estrogen, testosterone, we do kind of step into that more giving place because it feels good. It feels like we naturally want to do that. And we need to support ourselves in doing that. But when we go into the estrogen building cycle, we need to pull back and really receive. And that is when we really need a man to show up for us. A lot of times you feel really needy, and we really need a lot of pair bonding and support because our bodies need to build oxytocin during this time so that we can balance out our estrogen. And then when we go into the progesterone, it's more of like a me time. And during this time, we need to do a little more self-care. And we can reach out to the community, but we don't need that one-on-one pair bonding as much. And so when you can understand your own cycles, you can show up for your man to support him without putting unnecessary responsibility on him to make you happy. So you can literally be the support that he needs to rise into the highest version of yourself and inspire him to do that, as long as you're not projecting your own stuff onto him. Like, you handle your own and he can handle his own. And together you create a really strong relationship of mutual support. And you know when to give, and you know when to receive, and you know when to pull back to inspire and invoke him to really step forward.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's fascinating. When you work with clients, do you find that they often come to you and talk about how their relationships are improving?
Absolutely. A lot of times that's why they seek my help. They're in a lot of anxiety and fight and flight and overwhelm. And that's because they're in their masculine energy. They are in burnout, and they just keep giving and giving, and they can't give anymore. And they will talk about their relationship. And I don't even have to address the relationship at all. I just start helping them understand the dynamics of their own mind, how their subconscious works, so they can understand their underlying patterns and programs and where it comes in, and begin to manage that. And as a woman starts shifting, a man will automatically start shifting. So as we work with our own energy, he naturally will begin to shift. And I've had so many clients, we don't even go into the area of relationships in the first 4 weeks. and they'll be like, everything is improving at home. And it's just the natural consequence of a woman staying balanced and managing her own emotions in her own mind.
Well, that's fascinating. We tend to think that it's all about what we do and what we say and who we are, but energy is such a big part of our lives that we really have to become a lot more aware of. And when one person begins to change, when one person understands herself and what she's experiencing and responds accordingly, it does have an effect. It can have an effect on every single person, not just her family, but, friends and colleagues and all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I mean, we are made of energy, and our mind field is energy. It's the aura. And when two mind fields interact or two people come in contact, their energies merge, and we are influenced by each other's energy. And so whoever has the most powerful intent when two fields merge, the one with the most intent has influence over the other. And so I like to use negative emotion as an example here, because when you feel angry or frustrated, you have a powerful intent to release your energy somewhere. You just need to channel it somewhere. And so if one person is angry and frustrated, and the other person is having a really good day and just kind of like, I'm in my Zen zone, then the frustrated person is going to have a much more powerful intent to release energy. And so that intent, you can literally transfer your negative emotions to the person who's having a good day, because they're almost blindsided by not really having that powerful intent to stay there, regardless of the situation. And that's how we can be affected by negative emotions. So if two people have a bad day, a man and a woman, and they come together, then that just creates what I call a ridge of chaos. And in the ridge of chaos, both people are disorganized and nobody's in control. And that's a lot of emotions running wild there. And that's where conflict comes from. And when a woman can understand her own energy and what she's feeling, then she can recognize and own it and take responsibility for that and do the things she needs to do to process emotions in a positive way, to release them out of her body, out of her mind field, so that if he comes home and he's in a bad mood, her intent is powerful enough that she can support him through that and help him rise. There are times, of course, when we get overwhelmed with our own negative emotions, but these are the times that we need to go to our women friends, because women know how to handle that a lot better. And they don't take their friends' negative emotions so personally. They help them vent and release it so that they can return and restore. And that's why it is important for a woman to have a community of women around her, so that she can kind of be the rock for her husband when he comes home. I always say that lips lie, energy doesn't. And so when you can really tune into and feel a person's energy, you are aligning with your truth, and you are receiving information, valuable information that you can trust, because you're getting the information straight from the other person's energy. And so when you can understand what is going on, then you can take that information and use it as information, instead of responding to it.
Right.
You can
Don't be
actually,
angry. Try to break it
yes,
down. Right.
you can make a choice because you're seeing it clearly. But if you're relying on verbal communication, what a person is saying, you can be deceived. So you need to be able to understand and feel energy as well as what they're saying to find the congruence or incongruence. But the energy will always give you a clearer reading of where you stand with that person, and that is your point of power, because the information you get from their energy will help you respond in the most appropriate way, regardless of what they're saying to you.
And
It's
do you find that it can be a conversation? Let's say you come home from work or you're coming home from shopping and your husband is home or your partner or whatever, and you can see that they're all riled up, whatever the reason is. You feel it, you sense it. Is Could it be a conversation that you start with, or is it more you're staying where you are and being calm and just trying to calm yourself? So in turn, that may calm them. You know what I mean? Or is every situation different?
Yes, you are right. You read their energy. And what tends to happen is when a person with negative energy comes to us, it triggers our own dysfunctional patterns from childhood. And we can tend to get defensive because of that, because we are being triggered, and all of a sudden we feel powerless, like this person and all this energy is coming at me. I need to defend myself. I need to set that hard boundary right now. But that is misreading the energy instead of saying that this is his energy and I have my own power. I don't need to be influenced by that, but I can recognize he's having a bad day. And I do have power here because I can stand and hold my emotional state strong and be there for him and not take anything personal. So I don't have to get defensive and start conflict trying to defend myself. But it is the underlying patterns from childhood where that get triggered, feelings of being powerless and dependent. And then we go into a sort of survival mode to protect ourselves. And that is what causes the conflict. But when you can understand, okay, that's him, that's not me. And it's my turn now to just hold space. And whatever he has to say, I won't take it personal. I'm going to listen. And then I will begin to help him shift through conversation.
That's great. I have to just I I watch my grandchildren, and I have a grandson who's going to be 3, and he has a genetic disorder. So he's got some things going on. Sometimes he has seizures and things like that. And yesterday I watched him, and my husband was with me. Now I watch him usually alone. So I know his routine, I know his deal, I know what he does. But a few times I saw him getting frustrated because grandpa doesn't know exactly, like we folded something up and we put it on a chair that he likes to rock in, and he became angry. So I explained to him, I got really down low and I said, listen, grandpa doesn't know that you love that chair and what you love to do. He doesn't come all the time, so you have to use your words. Maybe before you get angry, I mean, this sounds silly, but I say to him, take a minute, just take a minute and think, and then use your words or explain. And it just reminded me when you said that, because with anyone, it's our reaction, right? It's the only thing we can control. How we teach these kids or how we teach ourselves or hold ourselves accountable to just breathe and, try to be the best we can. Don't take it personal. Don't get angry. Try to, I don't know, be supportive, but don't absorb it. There you go. So it happened last night.
Messages, it's information. And when you can understand that, then you cannot be hooked by your own emotions and react from that. Because anytime that happens, you are reacting from a place of feeling powerless. But if you can understand the emotion you're feeling and the message behind it, then you can understand where you yourself are feeling insecure And you can, if you need to set a boundary, you can set it appropriately, not with a lot of defensiveness.
Right.
And we get angry because we feel that we've been violated in some way, either a physical boundary violation, somebody's coming too close, we feel physically threatened by them, or an emotional boundary violation. And a lot of times it is the emotional boundary violation that triggers us and gets us to feel powerless. That makes us feel we have to really come forward with a lot of strength and aggression to stop it. But if we say, I'm really feeling powerless in this moment, but that's not the truth about me. I'm a very powerful person. And my response here will either support me in being powerful, or if I react in a powerless way and get defensive, then I'm actually violating my own boundaries from the inside. I'm crossing the line from the inside. So I'm violating my own boundaries when I engage in the conflict back. And that causes you to feel even more powerless because now you feel hooked. And so, but if you can take that moment and go, wait a minute, I'm feeling powerless here. It simply means that a neural pathway in your brain has been activated. And this neural pathway was created in childhood when you were powerless. And you can look at that and go, that's very interesting, but I know I'm not a powerless person. I have a lot of power here. I'm resilient for one, and I have phenomenal coping skills. I have wisdom, I have life experience. And even just stopping to ponder that, you can switch back into your adult brain and show up as a powerful woman, but with grace and benevolence. So you're not reacting to anybody else's emotion. You're reacting from a place of strength, of being solid and empowered from strength. And now you can bring positive energy into the situation for the highest good of all.
That's such a valuable lesson. It's, taking the moment to be mindful of what it is that you're feeling, what the truth is about you, and how you want to deal with the situation. And it's really an important thing for us to learn, because that's not necessarily what we do naturally. Most of us respond naturally. So it's great to do that.
Yes, well, our mind is our most valuable asset, but we're not trained into how to use our mind. We're not trained in the dynamics of the conscious and the subconscious mind. And so the subconscious begins to run the show, because our conscious mind, as we grow and mature and we become adults, the conscious mind is supposed to guide the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is very powerful, and it's there to support you and to help you. But it gets all its information on what you focus on. So it's important to be able to understand the dynamics between the conscious and subconscious, so you can really begin to become a conscious creator, to start to guide the subconscious to work for you. And because it's always working, and it's either working for you or against you, there's no neutral. So negative emotion is always an indication that it's working against you, that you're giving your power to an outside source. And that is the moment when the conscious mind needs to recognize that and not react and go, I can respond and not react here. And in that moment, the conscious mind can then shift, and the subconscious mind goes right along with it, and it just activates the neural pathways of empowerment that you have built up within you with wisdom and life experience. And when you can understand what's going on between the two, the conscious mind can now step forward and be the PowerPoint in your life, and you can begin to make your decisions from a place of being conscious about it, being a conscious creator of your life experience, instead of defaulting and being hooked by the dysfunctional patterns of childhood, knowing that these neural pathways were there to help you survive being powerless. That is what all the neural pathways created in childhood do. They help you survive from a place of being absolutely powerless. But if you bring those subconscious coping skills into adulthood, now you're sabotaging yourself, because you're responding from a place of being powerless in the world. You're not stepping into your life experience, your wisdom, the maturity, the lessons you've learned. You're reverting back to feeling powerless like a child, because it is a rule of the mind. And I learned this from RTT Marissa Peer. She has a fabulous rules of the mind, that any belief held in the subconscious mind will stay in the subconscious mind until it is replaced at the subconscious level. And the conscious mind cannot get down there and change it. But the conscious mind can help guide the shifting of it. But in hypnosis, we go into the subconscious level and we take the wisdom and life experience of who you are as an empowered woman today, and we create those new neural pathways in the subconscious mind. So now, what you know to be true about you is in the subconscious mind as well. So there are new neural pathways at the subconscious level. And from that moment forward, anything you focus on will either amplify the new empowered neural pathways, or it will amplify the old dysfunctional pathways of childhood. So your focus is imperative, because each time you focus on the empowerment and choose to step forward in your power, it literally neutralizes out the old. So while you're building one up, the neural pathways of empowerment in your brain, you are literally neutralizing out the old. It's simultaneous. It's kind of like a teeter-totter. And you want to at least get to that 51% of the time, to where you are mainly staying 51% of the time in your power. Now, of course, you're going to be hooked. And from time to time, you'll find yourself back there. But that's an opportunity to continue to see the beliefs that you have within you of being small and limited somewhere. And it is only when that belief of being small and limited is activated that it can be transformed. Now it can release its energy productively when you switch it back over to the empowered neural pathways.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it's all
Really.
very fascinating. And thank you so much for sharing all of this really fascinating information with us. When people want to get in touch with you, potential clients and people like that, how can they do that?
My website is the best way. It's www.livingsoulhypnotherapy.com.
Excellent. And thank you so much again for joining us today. This has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran, and we are signing off.
Thank you.